maybe wait one more minute, Adrian, and then you want me to kick us off?
Yeah.
Alan, if you want to spotlight me. For those of you joining the webinar, we'll be getting started in just 1 minute. Just get people a minute to come on.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Okay. Well, we're 2 minutes past 7:30, so I'm going to go ahead and kick us off. For those who don't know me, I'm the Jeff Scott, the chair of DCLMN. Really appreciate everyone joining this evening, committee people, and those members of the community our to hear from the candidates for Narberth and Lower Merion Commissioner, and my daughter too. We really appreciate everyone's time and effort. People are, everyone running for the various offices. I've already put in a lot of time. We'll put in time for our community, but here's a chance to learn more about where they stand on important issues to Lower Merion and Narberth. And we look forward to hearing from them. And Adrian, I'll turn it back to you since I've been invaded here
Okay.
right when the webinar started.
All right. Thank you. Um, Thank you, Jeff, and good evening, everyone. Our candidate forums aim to equip our committee members with knowledge needed for the endorsement process. We open our forums to the community so that everyone can learn about the Democratic candidates. We encourage voters to discuss issues with their committee people, the, the list which is on our website, which I will share at the end. Tonight, we will hear from municipal candidates seeking endorsement from our Democratic committee. The candidates in each race will get the same questions. They have two optional chits that allow them 20 seconds to answer or to respond to another candidate's answer. The forum this evening will proceed in this order. Ward 14 Commissioner candidates, Narberth mayoral candidates, uncontested Lower Merion candidates, Narberth borough candidates who are all uncontested, Lower Merion and Narberth tax collector candidates uncontested also, and the magisterial district justice candidate. This forum is being recorded and will be available in a few days on our website, democratslmn.org. If needed, there is a caption button at the bottom of your screen, and you can click on it to get the captions. Susan Gilmore is our timer, and Alan Kobernick is our tech guru. And now the form. Alan, if you would spotlight Shelby and Ken. And I'd like to introduce Ken Brownstein.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you.
And in a second, will be Shelby. There's Shelby. Oh, I like how you both wore blue. Very good.
Oh,
Not
Okay.
coordinated.
Yeah. All right. So they're both running for commissioner from Ward 14, which is Penwyn area. So we're going to start the questioning now. I think it's the other way. We need Ken on. I'm sorry, Alan. All right, we'll start with Shelby. Shelby, as part of your opening statement, please tell us what qualifies you for this position. You have 90 seconds.
Hi, I'm Shelby Sparrow. Thanks for this opportunity and for all the work the DCLMN does to support candidates, and Adrian for your work putting the forum together. My husband and I have lived in Penguin since 2008, and we have two teenage daughters. My professional background is in nonprofit fundraising, mostly with Special Olympics and a K-8 independent school in Philadelphia. And my path here has been through civic leadership with Penguin Civic Association and the Lower Merion Federation of Civic Associations. I was also on the board of the Philadelphia Skating Club and Humane Society in Ardmore. Um, I've served on the board of the Penguin Civic since 2013, being president twice, and the president of the Federation 2022 to 2024, which is comprised of all 14 civic associations across the township. So that really gave me a township-wide view of the issues that civics and boards are looking at township-wide. I intend to bring the same leadership that I've shown with the Penguin Civic and with the Federation of Civics as a commissioner. And I can say my eyes are wide open to the time commitment. As a soon to be empty nester, I'll have the time to not only attend the meetings, but engage with neighbors. And I'm ready. I have the energy and communication skills to represent Penwyn and work as one of 14 commissioners to implement democratic values and move our township forward. Thanks.
Thank you, Shelby. And now Ken Brownstein.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you for hosting, and thanks to the DCLMN for hosting this event. Lower Merion is my home. I grew up here, attended our public schools, and returned to Penwyn with my wife, Alana, a school psychologist in the Inner School District, to raise our two children, who are now walking through some of the same hallways I did as a child. I spent decades in this community, volunteering with or on boards of various organizations, including Harzion Temple, Lower Merion Little League, and co-founding Liberty Bell's travel softball organization, Penn State Hillel, and others. Through these experiences, I've firsthand seen how community leadership can make a lasting impact. Beyond my community involvement, my professional background uniquely qualifies me for this role. As AVP of Financial Planning and Analysis for a large property casualty insurance company, I manage large-scale budgets, oversee financial strategy, ensure responsible fiscal management and purchasing. I've worked with major companies making data-driven decisions to balance financial constraints while meeting organizational goals. I have a track record of supporting democratic values in candidates. I've been regularly attending township meetings for the better part of 3 years. At first, to press for change, as on our sidewalk policy, as I was hit by a car walking on the street, the same double-line roads our kids are made to stand on. As issues came before the board, I was frustrated by the lack of progress, positions being taken, and began to think, if not you, then who? If not now, when?
Okay, thank you. Ellen, you can leave Ken spotlighted because we're alternating. Okay. This is going to have me confused because we're okay. This time we will start with Shelby. Describe. No, we'll start with Ken. I got to change all the things here. No worries. Describe your past and current working relationships with other stakeholders and leadership within Lower Merion Township. What accomplishments have those relationships yielded within Ward 14 and the township? You have 90 seconds.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah.
It seemed to ramble.
Describe your past and current working relationships with other stakeholders and leadership within Lower Merion Township. What accomplishments have those relationships yielded within Ward 14 and the township? You have 90 seconds.
My involvement within the township has been through Lower Merion Little League, through Harzion Temple. I've attended both our commissioners' meetings as well as civic association meetings, and I've studied to understand the issues facing our township. It's not just civic associations that provide. Civic associations are only one way of serving, and leading is about having a broad, informed, and proactive approach to leadership. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Shelby?
Well, I am proud to say that I have the support of the current Ward 14 Commissioner, Rick Churchill, whom I've worked with closely for over a decade. I've seen firsthand how relationships and communication, especially between a ward commissioner and an engaged neighborhood with an engaged civic association, is extremely powerful in really advocating for the neighborhood. And I've seen that through successes with sidewalk installations and intersection upgrades, improvements to our park with planting trees, having a gazebo put in Wynwood Valley Park, and traffic calming measures. I've worked closely with township staff over the past decade, meeting regularly in my various roles, depending on what the issues were, with building and planning regarding development plans that affect Penwyn, regarding policy changes and zoning code amendments. I have worked with the Penwyn Civic Association. We have community liaisons at each meeting, providing updates from Penwyn community leaders, the library, the firehouse, and police. I've worked with the Federation, building relationships with current and past civic leaders, and with the school district when we were working on the Penwyn expansion project. I would hope to participate in the intergovernmental committee, collaborating with the school district, not just in crisis or conflict, but maintaining those relationships going forward as well. Thank you.
Okay. And Shelby will keep you up there. Okay. This is another 90-second question. Can you describe what one sustainability project or initiative you feel will be most beneficial to Ward 14 and the township?
Well, what immediately comes to mind is the solar panel project that is slated for this year at the Penwyn Library and the municipal parking lot. I know that is the township's first effort with solar panels, with the solar panel project. And so speaking township wide, it would be great to have that be a successful first sort of launch. I think Ludington is next, and it could help establish best practices and streamline the process so you kind of know what you're getting into for the next one. The Friends of Penwyn Park is an active group also in terms of sustainability with the park and planting trees and the bioswale. I would hope that that could serve to encourage other neighbors of parks that don't have a friends group to establish one. And we've done a lot of good things in terms of the park maintenance and tree canopy restoration. I know there are a lot of other initiatives in the pipeline as well that I've been following and engaging with. There's a lot of education that goes along with these sustainability initiatives. Community gardens and composting, things like that are other things that I would really like to see in Penwyn and throughout the township. Thank you.
Ken, same question.
Thanks, Adrian. Glad you asked about this. Green issues are important to me. When I first started getting involved, this was an issue about sidewalks, and active living environments are a very green issue. As Shelby mentioned, first things currently on the township docket include the solar panels, the 2 solar panel installations, which are currently being held up, but look to be completed shortly. There's also coming 4 locations for electric vehicle charging stations, which are important as well. But we need to really embrace active living environments. We need to make Lower Merion more walkable for our children, more bike friendly, and more accessible. We need sidewalk improvements so that pedestrians can safely walk to parks and schools. We need to upgrade bus stops and public transit access to make commuting more convenient. We need to expand bike lanes to provide safe alternative options to public safety. These options are very green as well as budget friendly, because when you improve mobility, enhance safety, and support sustainability, you can get around without a car. The Brookings Institute says that for every 10-point increase in walk scores, property values increase 5 to 8%. This is green investments are not only positive in terms of ROI, not only positive ROI in terms of both dollars, but also the triple bottom line for our environment and community impact.
Okay. Thank you. And we'll keep Ken there while we ask. What role do you think the commissioners play in protecting and supporting residents struggling to meet their basic needs? Please address both those for whom this has been a long-standing issue and those facing new challenges due to the dismantling of federal jobs and supports. You have 90 seconds.
We owe it to all Lower Merion residents to provide a quality place to live. Within Ward 14, according to the last census, about 3% of the residents in Ward 14 actually live below the poverty line. We need to make sure that they have access to food, increasing access to food banks, in addition to the food bank at the JCC and Narberth. There's a push in the township to create community gardens to provide additional access to healthy food. But a real problem facing this township is budgeting and taxes and making it more affordable to live here. We had a 6.5% tax increase, and we're trending to be on a path to lose our AAA bond rating according to Moody's. That would have a significant impact on affordability for all of our residents. That's something that we need to spend smart to reverse. We have to have smart development to increase housing while maintaining the character of the community. These are all ways that we can increase affordability to our residents and make it more welcoming for everyone.
Thank you. Shelby, same question.
Right off the bat, I think of the food banks and the increased demand that I know they are feeling, in addition to our aging population, as well as those finding themselves struggling now. If they haven't been struggling in the past, they're finding themselves struggling now due to the recent cuts. The food banks provide an invaluable and really critical service, and I think there's also added pressure to expand services, including medical support, senior services, transportation even. And I think we need to facilitate and really encourage some public-private partnerships, investigate best practices, work with our food banks and other organizations, and find out how we can best help them, and get creative as funding is being stripped away. Also, affordable housing. We know it's an issue in Lower Merion. In 2024, the Board of Commissioners unanimously made a commitment to affordable housing in the township, and I wholeheartedly support that as a priority. There's a really great housing rehab program through HUD to purchase and rehab houses. I think that we could look at that and figure out how to expand that, bring in additional organizations, inventory the existing housing stock, and really develop metrics, see what do we need and what do we need to build in order to meet the needs of our community. We really don't know what's going to happen at the federal and state level, and we need to effectively advocate to continue providing these resources and supports for our residents. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. We'll start with, now that Shelby's there, this is actually working nicer than I thought with the spotlighting and the alternating. Would you advocate for any changes to the township zoning code? If so, please explain why you believe these changes are necessary. You have 90 seconds.
Township zoning code. Yeah, what actually comes to mind is something that I was talking about actually a couple years ago that has not been implemented. It's actually off the top of my head, this one is more of a process. It has to do with a transportation impact study and parking inventory that's required when a developer brings a plan forward. And the first plan is a tentative sketch plan, and that needs to get approved by the Building and Planning and Board of Commissioners. The traffic impact study and parking inventory is not due until the next stage of the plan, which I think is a big problem, especially given the issues we have in this township with traffic, the need for traffic calming, and the burden that a lot of these developments are putting on our roads. I think that that part of the process needs to be required earlier so that those issues can be dealt with appropriately. And if there is a burden to the public roads, look for opportunities with code revisions to put some of the financial burden on the developers as well. I think that needs to be done earlier in the process to be fair to everyone. And going back again, zoning code, this is changes to zoning code. You know, if there's ways to expand the language in the code to encourage integration of affordable housing into our communities. And I'm out of time. Thank you.
Thank you. Ken?
Thank you. This is an important issue because development is constantly facing Lower Merion. Development and zoning go hand in hand. The zoning code was just updated by the Board of Commissioners. In Lower Merion, we have to make sure that we're carefully managing development. At one point, on one hand, we can't afford to become Lower Nimbia, rejecting all growth. That's and not in my backyard, but we also can't allow unchecked development to erode the character of a community that we all like. These are tough choices that will be required to make. Right now, there's already significant development booming across the township and housing stock coming online, whether that's the development in Ardmore, reshaping Schlaffel Plaza, whether that's the development that is proposed on the St. Charles Seminary, or the development proposed in Ballackinwood. These are all, and along Rock Hill Road. There's lots of development. Zoning is critical to that. I have experience on both sides of the table, so to speak. During my time at Preet, we were developer, and I understand the challenges developers face with the zoning code. And during my volunteer time at Penn State, on the board of Penn State Hillel, we worked to establish an assemblage which would lead to the future creation of Penn State Hillel's building, and worked with township to revise zoning code there. So I'm very aware of what it takes from both sides and what revisions would be necessary.
Okay. So, remember, Shelby and Ken, you still have your chits. So I'm doing this because this is the last question in the Board 14 candidate section. And we'll start with you, Ken. Do you have any concerns about the planned development of the St. Charles property and its potential impact on the township? If so, how would you address them? You have 90 seconds.
I definitely have concerns about the St. Charles development. While they're currently entitled to develop under the current zoning, they have a certain number of units that they can create. There's serious concerns around traffic and how that would impact the local community. Right down the street from that, there's already the most dangerous intersection in all of Montgomery County, in Lancaster and Remington Road, that our commissioners have not addressed, given that it's a public state road. We need to make sure that we're considering the impact of traffic. We need to make sure that, again, while we expand our tax base, it's done in a smart and meaningful way. And also, that is one of the largest parcels of land on that side of the township that is undeveloped, largely undeveloped, and we should preserve it. Our schools, my kids are in the schools, they're already overcrowded. Lower Merion School District is pushing kids from Lower Merion to Harriton, where there is room, but it's still full. If we keep up this scale of development, we're going to have to look for schools. Our fields are already stressed, and we need to consider that this is really the last large parcel of land before we go okaying development there.
Thank you. Shelby.
Yes. Yes, I have been concerned about this for a number of years. This is, as Ken said, this is a major development project. It's 140 acres and would require the creation of a new zoning category, which is something that needs to be really examined and done very thoughtfully if this is going to happen. It as Penguin is an adjacent ward on the Lancaster Avenue side of things, and the traffic could have severe impacts to the traffic as the entrances would be on Lancaster Avenue. I would argue that the scope of the project in terms of traffic needs to not just look at the four corners of that property, but extend down City Avenue to Haverford, because that'll be a cut through from people coming from Delaware County, and up Haverford Road to the intersection of Haverford and Remington, and then down Remington to Lancaster, which, as Ken mentioned, is one of the most dangerous intersections in the entire state, actually. So the traffic impact, in terms of usage, it is a mainline health property. So how would it affect the Lankanaw usage as well and the traffic from there? And it is just a massive development project with condos, multifamily, senior housing, medical offices, commercial, a hotel. We need to really think about this and be involved, as I have been for a couple of years. And I would continue to stay involved heavily with that. Thank you.
Did you want to use one of your chits? Yeah, I know, Ken. I'll give you one too. I saw you said that. Are you finished, Shel?
Yeah, thank you.
Ken, you have 20 seconds.
Okay, thanks for agreeing with me, Shelby. I think this is also about where it leads us in the future. It's not just the four corners, as Shelby said, it's moving down City Line. When you think about moving down City Line, you have St. Joe's, and that development is going to be used to creep right up onto the Lankanaw property, as well as the St. Charles Seminary. We need to think about not just this development, but what it's going to mean for the future on City Line Avenue, and what's going to be tried to be accomplished with the permissions that we give.
Okay. I want to thank you guys both so much for your passion and answering the questions. These were not given to these candidates beforehand. I'm sure they could have been even more expounded on if they knew them in advance. I want everybody to make sure they reach out to all the candidates we're presenting tonight for more information. So thank you both.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We are now moving on to the candidates for Narberth Mayor. We have here Rebecca Starr, and in 1 second, and there's Dana Edwards. We will start the questioning with Dana. Oh, I think how technically wise, yes, got it. All right. As part of your opening statement, please tell us what you think the job of Narberth Mayor is and why you are best suited for this position. You have 105 seconds.
All right, thank you. First, I'd like to say thank you to everybody who put this event together and for everybody who took time out of their evening to watch myself and Rebecca and all the candidates present themselves. So about 4 years ago, my wife and I made the decision to move to Philadelphia to support her career. We fell in love with Narberth because of the school systems, the layout of the town, the housing, and we just came to love Narberth. So we decided to move here. And at that point, after falling in love with Narberth, I mentioned to some of my neighbors that I wanted to become mayor. And the plan was originally to do that in 2029. I've now moved that up to try to run in 2025. Because I do believe that the three, four major jobs of being mayor are things that I'm very well suited to do. The first, probably most talked about, would be um, being in charge of the police department from a strategy perspective, from accountability perspective. There are also the ability to do things like veto and borough council, representing the people, breaking ties at borough council. And I've read in the PA Borough Code that there are even opportunities to do matrimonies and things like that. So, along with all of that, because of the role of mayor and how people perceive the mayor, there is a large component of influence. And influence inside of the town, outside of the town, partnering and collaborating with borough council. And to that, what I would say is I've had 27 years of progressively larger jobs in different fields, education, in environmental chemistry, where I started, and then finally in the banking and technology and insurance spaces. So I think when you take all of those, you can see, if I could add 20 seconds, please. If I take all of those, combine all of that, you can take the physical security pieces that I've done, apply that to being police, to the police department, and you can take all the governance and such and say that that's really how I'm going to build relationships inside the town with borough council, outside of the town. And, it really takes being a team player. And there's no better training for team player than sports and being on corporate teams and working at highest levels of organizations. Thank you.
Okay. Rebecca, same question.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Starr, and I'm running to be the next mayor of Narberth. Thank you, DCLMN, for hosting this forum, and Adrian, thank you for moderating. I'm the best candidate for mayor because I have the experience, the vision, and the deep commitment to our community that this role demands. I'm also really fortunate I have a flexible work schedule that permits me the time to take on the job of mayor. I love Narberth. It's magical. And we're in a pivotal moment as a country and as a community. As we navigate these changes, we need a strong, proven leader like me who can work to preserve what makes our community special while guiding us toward responsible growth and also ensuring that on the local level, we protect the rights of all of our citizens. The mayor's job specifically under the Borough Code is to head up the police department. The mayor also leads in case of an emergency. And overall, they're also the voice for the community. My desire to be mayor specifically comes from my experience already. Professionally, I'm a lawyer. I was a public defender. I am a higher education professional and a community advocate. And on a volunteer basis, here in Narberth, I'm going to take my extra 20 seconds. Here in Narberth, I have been a human relations commissioner where I've worked actively to make Narberth more inclusive. I've successfully mediated complaints between residents. I've also chair our police advisory committee, and I'm very proud of the work that we've done. We've done the first deep dive into the data set from the police department, and we also have engaged in two-way communication through the first community survey that's ever been done of our police department. The minute that I heard that Andrea was not seeking re-election, I immediately started my campaign. It was obvious to me that the next step in my progression of the work that I've already done, both professionally and for Narberth, is to be mayor. I announced my campaign to all of you in December, and I was really proud yesterday when I went to Norristown to file my petitions and had well more than 100 signatures. My platform is simple: strengthen community connections, elevate our profile in the region, and prioritize public safety and infrastructure.
Okay. Thank you. Rebecca, this is you again. I'm going to ask you to unmute. All right. This is a unique time in Narberth's history as the downtown is experiencing a major renovation. It has lost anchor stores and many other shops have closed, and significant portions of the town will be razed and rebuilt. How will you approach this developing, should do air quotes around developing, situation, and how will this transition benefit from your skills? You have 90 seconds.
I love this question. Thank you, Adrian. This is truly the meat of what's going on. Narberth's in a period of major transition with new developments and a changing landscape, excuse me, and shifting economic and demographic mix. First, we need to take a look at our zoning ordinance to encourage more diverse housing options. The zoning code has tried to do this, but we need to look again. Accessory dwellings and cottages were supposed to be our approach to this, but they're not quite doing the job. Perhaps we need to set a number of units per development to be allocated for the elderly, for veterans, or for people with housing vouchers. Affordable housing and diverse housing options need to be brought to the forefront in our community. It's long overdue. Moreover, there's been a tremendous number of conversations that I'm already having with citizens during meet and greets. And I'd really love to continue those conversations. I don't know exactly what it looks like, but market forces alone are not going to get us there. I don't know yet whether it's a land bank, development corporation, what we started calling the NEA at one of the meet and greets I had, the Narberth Endowment for the Arts. But they're all public-private partnerships. This is not necessarily for the mayor to do, but the mayor's job is to bring people together, various stakeholders who already have these ideas, and to develop them on behalf of the borough.
Okay. Thank you. Dana?
Yeah, would you mind just repeating the question?
Sure.
Thank you.
This is a unique time in Narberth's history as the downtown is experiencing a major renovation. It has lost anchor stores and many other shops have closed, and significant portions of the town will be razed and rebuilt. How will you approach this developing, quotes, situation, and how will this transition benefit from your skills? You have 90 seconds.
Yeah, I appreciate that. As I was going around the neighborhood collecting signatures, I was really proud to collect 115 signatures, met a lot of people, signed people up as Democrats, converted a couple from being Republicans, really proud of that. I went and asked them, what do you care about most? And everybody mentioned the downtown development. It was like number one, two, and three. And in order of what they would say and what they wanted, we're all straightforward. Number one, they wanted a new grocery store. Now, I'm not saying we can get a new grocery store. I'm just telling you what the people told me. Grocery store, restaurants, and then things like a gym. So they clearly care about spending time downtown, recreating that community that we've lost over the last couple of years. And that's, when I joined and started working with the Narberth Borough, I joined the Narberth Borough Industrial Development Authority, used my network that I've built over 27 years, 18,000 connections on LinkedIn, to help connect the Industrial Development Authority with different banks, with different community reinvestment areas. So I've got a lot of experience doing that. I've helped grow 3 different businesses responsibly, taking care of the people, taking care of everything about the company, the community, and the people they serve. I currently serve as Deputy CEO and Chief Technology Officer, and that does have, it is a job with a lot of flexibility. So I'm very happy that I'll be able to fulfill that. Thank you.
Okay. Dana. How does your role as mayor intersect with the police force in Narberth now that there's a police chief? You have 60 seconds.
Yeah, thank you for that. I first want to say that talk a little bit about my experience in this area. So I've got about a decade of experience running physical security and information security for banks. And so that involves securing cash vaults, working on external threats, securing the people as they move from one place to another, thinking about safety from all different vantage points. I'm very interested in traffic and roads and such. It's just sort of a hobby that's been developed within my family. And, I think the very first thing that would need to be done is we need to look at the strategy, make sure that it's comprehensive, come up with a strategy around community policing, come up with a strategy on one of the number one complaints, which is traffic and speeding and such. And so you can do things like add speed bars, add speed humps. And, I've already, while I was out campaigning before I've been elected mayor, I've already managed to connect some citizens with Borough Council and, get some updates for her on her street over on Meeting House Lane. So I'm really proud of all that work and look forward to making that better. Thank you.
Okay. Rebecca.
Adrian, how much time do we have for this one?
60 seconds.
Okay. Narberth's police department's in a great place with a strong chief who's committed to both responsive and proactive policies. Because we're in a good place, now is the time to take a look at all of our policies and practices to make sure that we're engaged in best practices. We deserve to be a model of community policing. I bring a unique perspective to this role. I am a former public defender. I have extensive experience working with police and understanding their work and complex legal challenges. I've taught criminal law and appellate advocacy. I chaired the Police Advisory Committee, where, as I mentioned, we led the first ever deep dive into Narberth's policing data, and I've conducted community survey to assess our needs. I believe in transparency and accountability. To that end, I want to ensure that we have an annual police report. I want clearer communication that serves both the police and the citizens. First recommendation that we made as a police advisory committee was to improve and create a multi-layer emergency communication plan. I want to continue to develop that plan and to develop all communication to be multi-layered.
Thank you. While you're still there, Rebecca, what are your thoughts on the master park plan that was just released?
So I want to be, I'm sorry, how long do we have, Andrea?
Oh, I'm sorry, 60 seconds.
60 seconds. So for those of you who are not familiar, Narberth just engaged in a master parks plan. It looked at multiple properties, but did not look at 201 Sabine, which is the old school building. To be clear, these decisions are not decisions that the mayor makes. This is the role of Borough Council. However, the mayor can help ensure that there's clear two-way communication. And I was really happy to see that they did seek input on this. Specifically, one of my concerns is to ensure that any parks plan that we have is accessible to all of our citizens. We have a really wonderful history here, wonderful presence here of Get Cafe, of Independent Network, and we need to make sure that our parks plan also serves the needs of all of our community.
Okay, thank you. Dana.
Yeah, thank you. First, I think, it's important to recognize the work that Gene Burrock and Michael Gaudini and the Borough Council did around the Master Park Plan. It primarily concentrated on 3 properties. It talked about a bunch, but primarily concentrated on 3, and those are properties that are heavily used. They're Elm Grove Park. It's about 1.25 acres. Narberth Park, which is about 6.25 acres, and Station Square, which is about 1/4 acre. And all of them, I think the work was really good. It started in April 2024 and it was presented at the beginning of this year. It does have a total price tag of about $6 million, which would need to be done over time. The one thing maybe that I would have done as mayor is sort of encourage them to take action on projects as they came up, so that you could do things like fix the footbridge, maybe plant additional trees, rip out some of the non-native trees and put in some, non-invasive things that are, more native to Pennsylvania. And that's something that I've noticed and I got feedback on as I was going around the neighborhood collecting signatures and speaking with the people.
Thank you. All right, Dana. Narberth is a small community, yet people complain. Hold on, let me turn the page. They are not well informed and included in decisions. Please comment on that and give specific ways you would ensure better communications in both directions.
Yeah, I really appreciate that you talk about communication as being two-way. We do have newsletters, we do have Facebook sites, and those are more pushing information out. And that's good for people who are actively seeking it out. What I would like to do is make sure that people understand what's going on, engage the people through different forums, uh, town halls, bring back the kids' movie night on First Friday so that you can talk to the parents and talk to different people. I would like to think about how do we engage with the community as new people come in, because there's a large amount of people, a large amount of turnover in our neighborhood, maybe through a welcome wagon type thing or something like that. Um, I would do more coffee with cops. I would do more meet the mayor, those sorts of things, like just opening up and engaging. And I think we've lost a lot of that over the last couple of years. I don't know why. I don't know the context. I just know that it's not around as much. And, if we had more channels like that, we would know a little bit more about what's going on with 203 Sabine and some of the other projects. And we would know that there's a big announcement coming on April 1st about the old Ricklands and what's moving in there. So I think that's what I would like to do.
Okay. Thank you. Rebecca.
Absolutely. Improved two-way communication is key to community connection, which is one of my priorities. Both in my existing leadership roles and on the campaign trail, I've already started to advance this goal through things like meet and greets, knocking on doors, sending mailings to residents. These are things that can continue, not just when you're running for office, but once you're mayor. I agree that Facebook posts are not enough. Our first recommendation, as I mentioned, on Police Advisory Committee in the wake of last summer's air quality concerns and soon after a local house fire, was to shore up emergency communications. A plan that included neighbors checking in on each other. This needs to be fine-tuned. We need to meet people where they are using multiple channels, improving our newsletter, making the information more accessible, mailing a print newsletter with every tax bill that goes out, mayor minutes, little electronic blurbs that can be sent out about key issues that are happening in real time. Consistent open office hours. Mostly, though, can I take my extra 20 seconds, please? Mostly, what I see, though, is communication is another form of partnership. And I think it's critical for the mayor to be amplifying the work that others are doing, businesses and individuals. We need to welcome new members to the borough, and we need to develop a pipeline of volunteers. All of these are about communication. My background clearly sets me up for this. As mayor, I'll ensure that residents and business owners have a voice in shaping Narberth's future.
Thank you. Rebecca, this is our last question in this section. What are your top two priorities and why do you think they are important for Narberth? You have 90 seconds.
Okay. Well, first of all, I do want to thank you again for having us here. And I want to thank the support that I already have. I'm honored to have already earned the support of many local leaders, Senator Amanda Capoletti, Mary Jo Daley, current Mayor Andrea Deutsch, Commissioner Jamila Winder, and I'm proud to say that they have all endorsed me based on my work the work that I've already done on behalf of the borough. I continue to think that I am the best candidate. I am the only candidate running for this office that is a lawyer. And I think in today's day and age, we need someone who can really understand what questions to ask. Not only does my legal experience help me manage the police department and head the police department, which is the primary role of mayor, but it also helps me understanding broader picture of what's coming down the pike. My two top priorities, I think I already mentioned that I have a three-pronged platform, is to strengthen community connections, to elevate our profile in the region, and to prioritize public safety and infrastructure. Strengthening community connections is about some of the two-way communication that we spoke about, but elevating our profile in the region is critical. We need to develop partnerships, whether it's with Lower Merion in order to develop something like the Montgomery Avenue corridor, whether it's with the county conversations I'm already having about public health.
Okay. Thank you. Dana.
Yeah, thank you. Number one really is communication, and I touched on that. And it has been exhilarating to go out around and talk with the people, collecting the signatures, understanding what they want. And that's really what this job is about. It's about the people. We've got a strong borough council. They've made great decisions. And, I'll stand behind those, and I think they do a great job. The I mentioned a lot of the ways that communication would be improved. Number two, I would say, is all around rebuilding the downtown area, the business district, and making sure that everybody knows what's going on. I want to be that shoulder for people to lean on. I want to be that beacon of information. I want to bring that information back. I want to make sure that Borough Council understands what I'm hearing and what I'm experiencing when I talk with the people, because sometimes the communication includes emotions, and you've got to be able to feel that from the people when you talk to them. That's something I'm very well equipped to do because, when you're on governance boards and, I've been 3 years on the Heritage Valley Health System board. So I've started talking with member of that group so I could understand what the impact of measles might be if the measles come to Narberth. There are lots of different things that I'm going to bring to being mayor. So number one is communication. Number two is making sure we rebuild responsibly. I've started making a relationship with other local business groups, with the main developer here in town, so I can understand what the intent is behind what he's intending to do. And then, I think finally, thank you.
You do have a chit if you want to continue.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I want to thank you both for a really interesting peek into Narberth for a lot of us here. And thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Adrian. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you, Adrian.
So now we are going to introduce the other candidates for Lower Merion Commissioner, all of whom are running unopposed. Alan, will you be spotlighting them all? Or as I go? So for Ward 2, we have Michael Daly. Ward 4, um, 2, 4, 6, 8, and we need I'm sorry, I saw June. And we still need Todd. There he is. Okay. So we have Michael Daly running in Ward 2. Um,
Hi, everyone.
Charles Gregory running in Ward 4. Give a wave so everybody knows who you are. In Ward 6, we have Chris McGuire. In Ward 8, we have Craig Timberlake. And in Ward 12, we have incumbent Todd Sinai, who also happens to be president of the board. So all the commissioner candidates will answer this question, including Ken Brownstein and Shelby Sparrow, our Ward 14 candidates. So we're going to start with you, Michael, because we're going to go in ward number order. Please give me 1 second here. I want to look at some time. We're running ahead. So I had said it was going to be 90 seconds, but I think we have enough time to give you each 2 minutes. Please briefly introduce yourself and then describe how you will approach issues related to development and walkability in our geographically and economically diverse township. Thank you.
Okay. So I don't know that I need 2 minutes, but I'll keep it under for sure. Thanks everyone for your time tonight. It's very humbling to be here among so many accomplished people. Just a little bit about me for the folks I haven't met yet. My wife and I have lived here in Lower Merion for about 15 years. Our 3 kids have been in the public school system since kindergarten. 1 is going to go off to college next year. 2 have a couple more years left in high school. I've been a practicing lawyer in the litigation department of a local law firm for almost 25 years. My practice focuses on defending class actions and other complex litigation. I think more relevant for tonight's purposes is the fact that I've been very involved in my civic association for several years. I've spent 2 years as a director, the last 3 as a president. During that time, I've gotten to know the township staff and several of our commissioners, and I've gotten a good sense of what my neighbors in Ward 2 care about and focus on. Most of it is, quality of life issues, the sorts of things that drew us to the township in the first place. So good schools, safe streets, nice parks, and walkability is sort of right in line with those things. So I'm happy to talk about that. Walkability is not really in Gladwin and parts of Penn Valley a huge priority because we have, this is not set up the same way geographically as, say, Narberth is or other parts of the township. But we do have the village, and the village of Gladwin needs desperately better sidewalks, more sidewalks where we don't currently have them. And so our civic association has been very supportive of that effort and will continue to be so, I hope, after, should I step down and take on this position. So thank you.
Thank you. Charles Gregory, same question. You are on mute, sir.
Can you hear me now? I'm sorry.
Yes, there you go.
Can you just repeat the question one more time?
Yeah, sure. Please briefly introduce yourself and then describe how you will approach issues related to development and walkability in our geographically and economically diverse township.
Hi, my name is Charles Gregory. I was born in Long Marion. Moved away for a little bit. When I got married, after I got out of college, I moved right back on Simpson Road, where my whole family is from Ward 4, which is pretty funny. I worked for the township for 23 years up until last year. In the township, I was the township vice president of the union for 3 years and the president of the union for 8.5 years. I dealt with FOP, some commissioners, they know me, some like me, some didn't at the time, but we all got along pretty good, I feel. I'm running for this position because I feel I can make a difference from the blue collar aspect. I'm just one of the guys that's been around. But when it comes to our zoning and things like that, it's a lot of things have to be studied, I feel, that we don't get the full story. And there's some things that I see when I was working with the township that people didn't know, and I would find out later on and try to pass along. So there's a lot of things. This question is kind of hard for me because I didn't deal with this actual part. It's more like I would have to study, and I'm just being honest. I'm gonna leave it like that. I'm sorry. This is not a good question for me. I just want to be honest. So I'll just go to the next one.
Okay. There's nothing wrong with being honest, Charles.
Yeah,
okay. Chris McGuire.
Hi, good evening. I'm Chris McGuire. I've been a committee person in Ward 6-2 for the past 3 years, and I'm a candidate for the Ward 6 commissioner position in Villanova and Rosemont. I was a resident of Gladwin for 9 years, and then I moved to Villanova, and I've been here for 3. My daughter attended Gladwin Elementary, Welsh Valley, and Harriton. I did a lot of work with a research group that was working on the school start time issues early on, and then I became a board director member of the Gladwin Civic, and I was active with them for 8 years. I was in front of the Board of Commissioners a lot talking about community issues and development projects and surprisingly cemetery law and different things. And I learned a lot about the zoning code and the HARB, and it was just fascinating, and it was wonderful to be able to work for the neighbors and with the neighbors on these projects. Professionally, I'm a forensic psychologist. I work primarily with law firms to support specific cases of catastrophic injuries and very severe trauma. I have a group psychology practice with 20 clinicians and a full complement of office staff. So I'm a business owner, and I understand what a budget is, and that you have to work within the budget and not look at it like a blank check. And I come to this position with that sort of mindset in play for me, that, you know, our budget is something we work within. It's not a blank check. And so decisions have to be made, and we have to be exquisitely careful when we're dealing with public dollars. In terms of sidewalks, Ward 6 really does need them, and I would be in strong support of that. We have several areas of Montgomery Avenue that we can't walk on at all. So I would work within our budget to achieve that goal. Thank you.
Okay. Craig Timberlake for Ward 8.
Hey everyone. So I am Craig Timberlake. I'm running for Ward 8 Commissioner. I've been an Ardmore resident for 14 years. I moved here from Maine in 2010 with my wife and 2 sons, both of whom are products of the Lower Merion School District. One is currently a junior at Lower Merion High School, and my older son is a second-year college student. We were drawn to Ardmore as many people are, by the public schools, the compact, walkable neighborhoods, the multiple transit options into Center City, Philadelphia. But what I didn't know when we chose Ardmore is just how amazing the community is and would be, and how many of my neighbors would become very close friends. As far as how I would approach development and walkability, I'm not sure if 2 minutes is quite enough. If I've had conversations with you, I can talk about both of these subjects for a very long time. But I would say for development, that we should incentivize smaller, incremental development that is funded locally. As much as we possibly can. I think that the people who live in the community know it best and are best positioned to decide what the community should look like going forward. Everyone laments these massive projects that we see going up all over town, and there are certainly times and places for those, but I think that incremental, smaller developments are the way to go. As far as walkability, I have some pretty kind of radical ideas, but I think that we need to slow the cars. It's a hellscape out there for pedestrians and people on bikes, and that's how I would approach it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Todd.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. First, thanks a lot to the DCLMN. First for hosting these forums, but also for all the help with campaigning. Adrian, thanks for putting these forums together. I know it's a ton of work, and I appreciate it very much. And also thanks to all the committee people who are on this call for considering my endorsement. As Adrian said, my name is Todd Sinai. I'm the commissioner for Ward 12, which is Marion, and now as part of Marion, is expanded beyond Marion. I've lived in Marion for 26 years. I've raised my children here. I've now been commissioner for just over 7 years. And president of the Board of Commissioners for a little more than 3. And I'm seeking a 3rd term as commissioner. Just for way of background, one of the many reasons I'm seeking re-election is I found that I bring a pretty unique perspective to the board. My professional background, I'm an economist on the faculty of Wharton. And my expertise is at the intersection of understanding what makes municipalities like Lower Merion thrive, how development affects townships, the role that local governments and local tax policy can play in budgeting and finance. And I discovered that, the Venn diagram of this particular thing that I do happens to overlap a lot with what the township does. And it's been really a terrific experience to be able to bring my perspective to the board. It's also informed what I worked on or promoted on the board, including, to the point of walkability, the township's first ever initiative to improve the sidewalk network township-wide, paid for by the township. All those other sidewalks you see in the township, when the developments went in, they were built. And the effort with this, which was something along the lines of 5 years, really was how does one do this in a way that a majority of the board will vote to spend the money on it, right? Everyone's in favor of sidewalks in their ward. We need to do it everywhere. Beyond that, in terms of development and walkability, just briefly, development just needs to be focused rather than sprawling throughout the township. And in terms of walkability, we need to prioritize complete streets. The township started as an auto-oriented suburb. We need to pivot away from that, increase the quality of life for all of our residents. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And now we'll go back with Ken Brownstein. And I'm really glad we had extra time to allow all these candidates. Don't put any time in yet, Susan. Really had time to add some extra time because most of these candidates would be new to the board. So I think that little extra bit of introduction is really helpful for everyone. Ken.
Okay, thanks. My name is Ken, as you've heard from me before. Born and raised here my entire life. My parents, my brothers still live within Lower Merion Township. I'm a parent, girl dad too. Both my kids are in public school. They've attended Penwyn, Ballykinwood, Black Rock, and Lower Merion. And I've been very active in a variety of nonprofit orgs. My business background includes budgeting, planning, purchasing, and functions making data-driven decisions to optimize resource allocations, negotiating contracts with vendors, and maintaining fiscal discipline while delivering growth. I have a track record of voting as a Democrat and supporting Democratic candidates. Lower Merion is an incredible place to live, but as our community grows, we need to be proactive in addressing the key challenges, some of which Adrian has highlighted. I heard many of them in my conversations with residents while gathering over 170 signatures for petitions supporting my candidacy. I've heard common concerns about active living environments, roads and traffic calming, development, and budgeting. But I've also heard about other issues, quality of life issues, poor cell service, the firehouse siren local to Ward 14, tree canopy, lack of enforcement of traffic violations, and perception of rising crime. People want change. They feel like the township isn't responsive for their needs, traffic is getting worse, and that safety is an issue. People want safety, accessibility, and well-planned community, and I'm going to make that happen. My priorities, active living environments. We need to ensure that Lower Merion's walkable, bike-friendly, and accessible. Sidewalk improvements, upgrade in public transportation. But then also comes roads and traffic calming. Traffic is a growing concern. I've heard about police not enforcing speeding. We need to make sure that Lower Merion police have everything in their toolbox for traffic calming measures. We must balance development, and we must be mindful of our budget. We're facing a structural deficit. We're facing a changing tax base. And rather than raising taxes, we need to be smarter in how we control budget. We need financial discipline to ensure Lower Merion remains fiscally responsible while maintaining the high quality of services that we all expect here.
Thank you. And last but not least, Shelby Sparrow.
Thank you. I think that there's a lot to unpack in this question. But I'll sort of share with you, I think, my key ways that I think about every issue, as I've done in the civic in my experience over the past over a decade, really focusing, keeping residents safe, being good stewards for the environment, and really recognizing and supporting the diversity within our township. All my decisions are made thoughtfully with those key elements in mind, and a thoughtful approach to development to answer this question that considers effects on traffic, on schools, connectivity, encouraging walkability and use of transportation, making sure that we're looking at those issues township wide as making decisions as a board of commissioners. Working as, one of 14 to represent Penn Win, but also looking out for the best interests of all residents of the township, and encouraging development that really integrates all of those issues, with the budget in mind, with providing resources at high levels that our residents deserve. And I really bring it back to communication, setting up town halls, providing opportunities, using the amazing structure of the civic associations as education, as advocacy. Lower Merion has this amazing structure of those civic associations throughout the township, and I think it's a wonderful resource that can be utilized in partnership with the commissioners, and to really make strides to improve the township. I think I'm out of time. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank all of the candidates running in this year's commissioner races. And it's trying to get everybody spotlighted is a little funky, but I want to thank you all for being here and educating us on some of the issues. Thank you.
Thank you too, Adrian.
Okay. Ellen, I think we can just go and spotlight the Narberth Council people now. Bye all. Huh. And here they are. Next, we turn to the 4 Narberth Borough Council candidates. We have incumbents Fred Bush, Cindy Rickers, Mike Salmonson, and newcomer Joe Stratton. They're joining us today. You will each have 90 seconds to introduce yourself and answer this question. Good luck. Sabine Pike Park and its development has been looming over Narberth Borough for many years with questions about potential tax increases, legal threats, and transparency. Should the Sabine Park development move forward? And Fred, we're starting with you. You have 90 seconds.
All right. Thank you, Adrian, and thank you, committee members. Just a little about myself. I'm currently the president of the Narberth Borough Council. I'm running for my second full term, and I was appointed to a partial term before that. So I've already been on council for about 6 years. We moved here about 9 years ago when my child was ready to start kindergarten, and they're about to go to Heriton next year. So it's exciting. And just about me, I'm a professional gambler. I've been playing poker for about a little over 20 years now. So Sabine, the issue that makes this so difficult is that the borough currently rents out the property to commercial tenants, and the borough makes a significant amount of money doing so. It's part of our budget. But the building has extensive renovation needs. Basically, there was some debate over whether the borough owned it or whether Lower Merion School District owned it. So no repairs were made to the building for a really long time while the ownership was up for debate. So I think there's no question that something needs to be done with the property because the repairs to keep it operating as a commercial endeavor like it is now, they're just not cost effective. It would cost the borough money in the long run to redo it and to rent it out. So the discussion that's happening is among the neighbors and among council about what exactly is to be done. I think there's no question that something has to be done. I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Cindy?
Hi, folks. Fred just did an excellent job of giving some context to Sabine. So thanks, Fred. I'm going to take your seconds. I'm Cindy Rickards, and I've lived in Narberth since 2005. I've volunteered at every Narberth Business Association event, except oddly the Easter egg hunt, and every 4th of July. The best way to get to know your neighbors is to roll up your sleeves and volunteers. Once my kids were old enough, I ran for council, which was always a goal of mine. And this is now my 8th year serving on Narberth Borough Council. I currently serve at the discretion of my colleagues as vice president. And during my tenure, I've watched our beloved anchor institutions and local stores close due to retirements or fall victim to a much larger rise of online shopping and a new retail dynamic. I've been through 6 rounds of borough manager interviews, 2 chief of police, and multiple different council members. And we're at this really critical time of change, and we are going to need to rely on our civic commitment to a thriving downtown economy, as well as our strong relationships with Mary Jo, Amanda, Mary Gay. We've utilized countless resources to support our neighbors and continue to partner with Lower Merion on projects like Montgomery Avenue. We have to take action on Sabine. It's falling down. It was $5.6 million of deferred maintenance prior to COVID. We know this. We are thoughtfully reminded why municipalities should not be in a position of being landlords. And we're addressing now what is the best use for this massive undertaking, this massive project in our borough that has lots of potential opportunity and lots of cost.
Okay. Mike?
Good evening. Thank you all. Most of you know me because I was a committee person for Narberth for some time and a long time Democratic volunteer before that. I've been very active in the community since we moved here in 2003. Before that, I was in Ward 14 in Penn So some of those things that you folks were talking about are near and dear to my heart. I've been very involved in school affairs, committee on special ed, which means that I'm very concerned about accessibility, making our community inclusive to everyone. As to Sabine Park, I think the question actually was a little skewed because it said the Sabine Park development, as if we already had a plan in place, and that is just not the case. We recognize that we have a unique asset here, both from an environmental standpoint and from a fiscal standpoint. We have, as others have said, a building that's just not viable in the long term. So the only plan that we have in place now is a commitment and a renewed commitment to ensure that whatever parkland exists in Sabine will not be decreased by whatever we do. And so we do have this responsibility to balance our fiscal needs with our desire, a uniform desire to keep as much parkland available as possible. Thank you.
And Joe Stratton.
Hi, everyone. Joe Stratton. I'm been a resident of the Narberth area since 2024. I lived on Avon Road and raised my kids there from 2004 to 2016. And Avon's just adjacent to Narberth and then in Lower Merion, and then lived in Narberth since 2016. I'm a family physician. A lot of my work is working with frail, vulnerable people with chronic illnesses. A lot of my focus is on working together with my patients, their families, caregivers, and others to make sure that we are creating the best quality of life and safety for everyone. And that's a passion of mine that I take to the work that of working on the Borough Council of how do we make sure that we are balancing multiple needs and goals and providing the best opportunities for our citizens. And I'm just thrilled to be able to join Fred, Cindy, and Mike in this role. Regarding Sabine Park and 201 Sabine, it's been really well said by Fred, Cindy, and Mike. I don't want to repeat what they've said. My approach is we've got a really important resource. We've got a lot of passion. There are financial needs, and really important for us as Borough Council to explore all of that and find the best solutions that we can to meet all of those needs. Thanks very much, everybody.
I want to thank the Borough Council candidates for standing up again for three of you to run and help that great little community of Narberth that is right in the middle of Lower Merion Township. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. We're just sorry we couldn't host you in Narberth Borough Hall because it was so many people.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks. We'll see you next week, though. So each municipality, Lower Merion and Narberth, will elect their tax collector this year. In addition, some of our precincts will elect a new magisterial district justice. All of these candidates are running unopposed. I'd like to introduce Jana Peckman-Lunger. Did I do that correctly?
That's correct. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. John McIntyre is running for magisterial district justice, and Bill Sipe, we'll see in a second, is running for Narberth tax collector. There he is.
Hi.
Hi. So we have like a couple extra minutes. So I would like Jana and Bill to kind of tell us a little bit about what the tax collector does and introduce yourself.
Shall I start?
Yeah, Jana, please start.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jana Pechman-Lunger, and I'm running for the position of tax collector of Lower Merion. Honestly, today it's a very special day for me because it is today, 14 years ago, that I became an American citizen. As a child growing up behind the Iron Curtain, I always was dreaming of America as a land of freedom and opportunity. I came to the United States in 1994 as an exchange student, and eventually I earned a degree in economics and political economy. I worked at the Philadelphia Stock Exchange in the compliance department, conducting financial and regulatory examinations, and I specialized in anti-money laundering. The past 3 years, I serve as a deputy tax collector to Sam Aidenbaum, learning along his side all the intricacies of tax collection and banking. It will be my great honor and privilege serving as tax collector of Lower Merion. I thank you for your time and support, and thank you to DCLMN for hosting this forum, but also for supporting all the candidates. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill?
Hi, everyone.
Wait a minute.
Oh, okay.
We'll take a break between tax collectors, and since John is highlighted as our magisterial district justice candidate. I would not be able to say that 3 times quickly.
Hi, everybody. I'm John McMahon. I'm very happy to be on with everyone. Adrian, thank you to you and your team for putting this together. And I'm very appreciative of everybody who is watching this event. I live at 1617 Montgomery Avenue with my wife, Erin. We have lived here since 2012. My first year living in Lower Merion was in 1966. That is when I moved into Lower Merion with my family. Originally, we lived in Penn Valley, where I spent a lot of my growing up years, and later in Narberth, and ultimately Gladwin. I can tell you that the reason that I am seeking this position is multifold. First and foremost, I have great affection for Lower Merion Township. Growing up in Lower Merion Township was a phenomenal experience. I have wonderful memories. I loved hearing all the talk about Narberth because I spent a heck of a lot of time playing baseball down at Narberth, as well as many other places throughout the township, Belmont Hills, Ardmore Avenue, South Ardmore. I remember riding my bike down to the AMP as a young boy on Montgomery Avenue. So I know the area, I know the township, and I have great affection for this township. Quite honestly, if I lived somewhere else, I don't know that I'd be going for this office. But to be able to have an opportunity to engage in public service at this stage of my life, which is the second big reason that I'm seeking this position, besides the fact that I really love Lower Merion. At this stage in my life, I want to return to public service in my community. I started out in public services as a Montgomery County Assistant District Attorney. And for about 35, 36 years, I've been very busy as a practicing trial lawyer. At this stage of my life, I'm very, very excited about the prospect of obtaining this position and being able to serve my community. I believe I have the qualities to do a real good job. I have the experience necessary. I think I have the temperament necessary, the judicial temperament, and I certainly believe that I have a sense of fairness as well as the appropriate work ethic. 3 big things for me in this job. 1, court starting on time. 2, the court dispensing its decision in a prompt manner. And thirdly, treating all people who come to court with courtesy and respect. I've had many, many, many clients through the years, and I know firsthand that it can be an anxiety-provoking experience for people to have to come to court. I can also state that with regard to this job, I've been to preliminary hearings in district courts. I've been involved in civil cases in district court, pretty much everything, landlord, tenant, everything. So the various duties and the type of law that has to be applied, I'm quite familiar with. So I'm just very excited. I've had a lot of support in regards to this endeavor, and I would be very honored and privileged to have this position and serve the citizens of Lower Merion Township with fidelity, good judgment, and courtesy and respect and fairness to everyone who comes into the courtroom. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill, you're
Hi.
up.
I'll try this again.
Yeah, please introduce yourselves and
Okay.
spell tax collector if you can.
I will. Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Sipe. I've lived in Narberth for about 9.5 years now with my wife and 2 kids. My daughter's currently at Ballackinwood. My son is at Lower Merion. My professional experience has been focused on workforce analytics, which may sound completely unrelated to tax collection, but really it isn't. So the core activities of workforce analytics include collecting, tracking, auditing, and reporting on workforce data. And tax collector's role is similar, has very similar activities, just focused on collecting and tracking tax dollars instead of data on employees. So you need to notify taxpayers of the amount that they owe and when they owe it. then you need to actually collect that that tax and make note that it's been paid, deposit it, and then the best part is being able to then write the check to the different taxing authorities that get to use those funds. Just wanted to close by thanking everyone I've spoken to during this process, especially Regina Watson, our current tax collector, who's been tax collector for Narberth for quite some time. And she's provided me with some great guidance. And it's just been a lot of fun learning the ins and outs of tax collection, as well as the local political process, which has been surprisingly fun. So thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you to our other candidates. I want to thank all of you for attending this forum. I want to thank all the candidates for their informative and thoughtful answers. This forum was recorded. Candidate contact info will be sent to all the registrants. Later this week, the link to the recording will be available on our website. And here we go. Share and slideshow. So make your voice heard. I want to thank everybody for coming to pay attention to this. A lot of times the municipal elections do not get a lot of attention, but the quality of life that is brought forth by these offices really makes a difference. So I want you to make sure you're registered to vote, or you can also apply for a mail-in or absentee ballot at www.vote.pa.gov. Check out the Democratic Committee of Lower Merion and Narberth website at democratslmn.org. And while you're there you'll see upcoming events, and you can find your committee person, the link and their email address at the section that says About, and it'll say Committee People. And then find out more about cross-filing and other interesting voting facts by talking to your committee person. So I want to thank you all and for really being civically involved in attending. So thank you very much. And everyone have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.